Welcome to another installment of This Is Not Normal on the Political Drain podcast with Drill Sergeant Doug, aka Admin Doug, a U.S. Army veteran, teacher, musician, and family man from Jamaica, now fights for justice and democracy through commentary and humor. Follow him on YouTube at Political Drain and at Sons of Liberty Official as Drill Sergeant, aka Admin Doug, continues to protect our freedoms.
Winner of the world's dumbest looking face award, and the answer to the question, what if Elmer Fudd and Jay-Z had a baby, Hakeem Jeffries, just wrote yet another strongly worded letter and folded it neatly so that it could fit right in the neckgina of the dear leader so he could read it when he woke up from his nap.
On deregulation, HHS proudly is now leading the pack.
You can sleep through that voice. You are tired. You are fatigued.
And, well, I wonder how that letter's coming. Hakeem, did you get the response you were looking for, Hakeem Jeffries? I'm beginning to believe you did. I'm beginning to believe that you got exactly what you were looking for. The nothingness that you received, that you ask for on a daily basis because you're too feckless. Or maybe because you're just too paid off to actually want real change, because the status quo was treating you just fine. I used to think that it was just a condition that you had while your eyes seemed like they were always closed. Now I think you're closing them on purpose. Hakeem Jeffries, I need you to open them up. What's up, YouTube? Drill Sergeant here. And I'm here to just ask a question. I wanted to get some news to you as well. But the question is Hakeem Jeffries' eyes just look closed because that's how he looks? Or is he actively closing them so as not to see the hell that's happening around him so he doesn't have to do anything about it? I'm just wondering. You see, during a press conference, the New York State congressman said this.
The White House is denying that Secretary Hegseth had anything to do with the double tap strikes on alleged Venezuelan drug boats in the Caribbean. A, do you believe that? And B, if he or any other administration officials are found to have been culpable for any war crimes, do you think that Democrats will take any sort of punitive legislative action against them?
The White House is lying, but that's no surprise because they lie for a living, and the American people know it. It's my understanding that Pete Hegseth, the so-called Secretary of Defense, was absolutely involved. I think he may have even recently acknowledged that because the facts are incapable of being disputed. And so the question in front of us, and I believe there will be bipartisan investigations in both the House and in the Senate in order to determine whether war crimes were committed and either U.S. law or international law or both were violated. It's already been crystal clear that Pete Hegseth is the most unqualified Secretary of Defense in American history. I called for him to be terminated months ago when the Signalgate scandal first broke out. Everybody on Capitol Hill knows he should have never been confirmed. It's a shame. It's because these Senate Republicans, just like House Republicans, are nothing more than puppets for Donald Trump's extreme policies. That's why they put Pete Hegseth into that position when they knew he was woefully unqualified. And now we have real evidence that extrajudicial killings are taking place. That's the stain on America's leadership in the free world, which is why our international standing is plummeting. And, of course, the standing of the Republican Party is a complete and total disaster here in the United States of America.
Now, YouTube, it sounds forceful. It sounds performative. Because not yet has he answered the question. What is the disciplinary actions that the Decepticons were going to take, the Democrats? What is the actions?
He or any other administration officials are found to have been culpable for any war crimes. Do you think that Democrats will take any sort of punitive legislative action against them?
It's my understanding that Pete Hegseth, the so-called Secretary of Defense, was absolutely involved. I think he may have even recently acknowledged that because the facts are incapable of being disputed. And so the question in front of us,
the question in front of you was, if they're found guilty of doing this, will there be punitive action by the Democrats? That's the question in front of you. You have avoided that. So don't let that snake-tongued rat tell you what the question in front of you was when we just heard it.
It's already been crystal clear that Pete Hegseth is the most unqualified Secretary of Defense in American history. I called for him to be terminated months ago.
You called for him to be terminated months ago. How did that go? How did that go, Hakeem Jeffries? I'll tell you what. Why don't you do it again? Why don't you do it again? It worked so good the first time.
When the Signalgate scandal first broke out, everybody on Capitol Hill knows he should have never been confirmed. It's a shame. It's because these Senate Republicans, just like House Republicans, are nothing more than puppets for Donald Trump's extreme policies. That's why they put Pete Hegseth into that position when they knew he was woefully unqualified. And now we have real evidence that extrajudicial killings are taking place. That's the stain on America's leadership in the free world.
Hey, Black Igor from the Addams family, you realize you still haven't answered the guy's question yet, right?
The White House is lying, but that's no surprise because they lie for a living, and the American people know it.
And now that you know that their job is to lie every day,
ultimately the buck stops with the President of the United States of America, which is why I made clear to President Trump yesterday in my correspondence that the Secretary of Defense should be fired immediately if he's not man enough to own up to his mistakes and resign in disgrace.
Can you please tell me what the fuck are you doing writing a letter to them? And what response are you looking for when you know their job is to lie? I did not want to go there. I was not supposed to curse. I was not supposed to curse. I wanted this to be informative. You see, what you just heard there, YouTube, was I don't belong here. I am here because I was the only Democrat running in a Democrat plus 15 neighborhood, area, district in a very blue state. And they picked me because I was there. Because I decided that I could be the one to raise enough money from AIPAC and everybody else except for the people who I serve. You didn't hear that? Listen, what else you heard there was, if I do too much or I make too much noise, I stand losing the checks, the prestige, the rest, sleep, and otherwise decent life I get to live as a congressman who doesn't have to ever do anything because the other side are Nazis. And as long as they stay that way, I'm golden. That's what you heard there. Because if you heard someone who wanted to fight for you, they wouldn't say, well, you know, I'm getting ahead of myself. No disciplinary action. Why? Because we have to find out whether or not Pete Hegseth, is he actually a murderer or does he just play one on TV? Because all you said was, we're not going to do any disciplinary actions. But what we need to do is investigate so that the Republicans can fire him. The same people who you said it was their job to lie daily. So many contradictions in one small statement, but because you're a slimy, sneaky, disgusting, close-eyed politician with a punchable face, you make it sound like something other than it is. A few bombastic words, some real get in there type of talk with calling them liars. Ooh, he did that. No, he didn't. You performed it. It's performative. You have nothing. You've said nothing. And you've done nothing. You refuse to do anything. Now, the big one, YouTube, is going to be what he actually said on TV about articles of impeachment. Oh, yeah. Huh. The only actual thing that you have to use in situations where the government, where the heads of state, where the Secretary of Defense is a murderer. Or is alleged a murderer, alleged rapist, sexual abuser, drunkard, filthy, fucking, disgusting, white nationalist human being. The only thing you have to combat half of those, the other half, the founders just really, well, they were also those too, many of them. I'm not going there. The point is, that's all you have left. Listen to what Hakeem Jeffries, winner of the I Have the Dumbest Looking Face in the World, this guy, award, said on national TV.
We need to find a handful
of House Republicans to join us. We've got 212 Democrats on a discharge petition to force an up or down vote on a 3-year extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits. And we need just a few of my Republican colleagues to show some guts.
A few moments later.
Should Democrats be drafting articles of impeachment against Hegseth right now? Is that something you're considering for this week ahead?
Well, I think the problem is we can't even get Republicans to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credit. So the reality is that that type of accountability is not happening in this Congress with these people who continue to be nothing more than a reckless rubber stamp for Donald Trump's extreme agenda. What we should be doing is making sure that there's a strong bipartisan investigation as it relates to what's happening under Pete Hegseth's so-called leadership. And that's been a challenge throughout the balance of this year. Moving forward, it seems like there's some interest in the Senate amongst Republicans in scrutinizing the behavior of the Department of Defense off the coast of South America. So let's see what emerges in the House of Representatives.
Now, I'm spitballing here. There's no script. I'm not even watching these clips. I just remember them in my head. And now that we're back from it, I've reminded myself of what was the actual problem. The real problem is because you feel like the other side is going to shoot you down, you don't shoot the ball. You think the other side's going to block you, so you don't shoot the ball. On the other hand, if you were any sort of a politician that cared about the rule of law, that understood politics, not just how you could win at it, but how you could help serve with it, you would realize that that type of thinking is exactly what the opposite side, the Nazi side, the anti-democracy side, the fascist side wants you to believe and needs you to believe in order to have a side in the first place. It's a lie to begin with, is all I'm saying. Because if every single Democrat were down with it, then all you would need is to pull a few people onto your side that would be down with it too. You don't need all of them. You just need the people who want to leave, like Marjorie fucking Taylor Greene, or the other 2 people who are going to be resigning soon, because they're waiting for you to grow some balls and ask them to do it. They're giving you the fucking out. I'm sorry. Woo! Kind of got here hot there. I apologize. What I mean to say is, when the other side has 3-4 people that are resigning because they can no longer be a part of the filth, but you can't get every single Democrat to sign on to something, then yeah, the other side looks really big and mean, Hakeem Jeffries, and I'm just not going to go through it because I don't like losing, you fucking loser. But maybe if you, as the leader, could get all of your people to sign on to it, there's a few people over there that are waiting for you to stop bending over. Because they decided they'd rather leave than bend over anymore. Yeah, they once were the benders, and maybe they won't, but fucking try. And if you try and fail, at least I wouldn't make this video about you. I cannot wait for you to become a footnote in history. I cannot wait for you to get primaried. If I had, as a matter of fact, I want to do a fundraiser, but there's legalities involved. Anybody who can count to 3 and cares about democracy, primary this guy. Primary him. And just make sure that when you pound the ground, you remind them that he's paid by AIPAC and only works for them. And then show them this video if they need proof. I'm not trying to convince you that any of these people are the actual fascists. What I am saying is that fascism rises when the opposition is paid by other people who support fascism. Weak people who don't want to fight because they don't want to lose the ire or gain the ire, or lose the pat on the back from the people who've been paying them their entire career. That's why. That's why. When you say, well, it'll never happen, yeah, of course, because that's what they want you to say. But instead of thinking strategically, like saying, if I could whip all of the Democrats to sign this, at a time like this, when Republicans are fleeing, jumping ship, waiting for us to stand up for once and get off of our goddamn knees for 1 second and try, we might be able to bring just a couple of them over, because that's all we need now. Did you notice? The boogeyman you're scared of has left the building. Hakeem, you close-eyed freak, they're gone. If you would take the moneymaker's cock out your fucking mouth for a second and open your fucking eyes a little bit wider for once, you might see what's going on around you. Hello, Hakeem Jeffries. These are the facts. This is called politics, strategy, not begging for someone to get fired. If you don't think that they'll sign on to your thing, but somehow all you need is a couple people, I just need a few to come on our side so that we can get the healthcare extension, then what's the difference? I just need a few.
We need to find a handful of House Republicans to join us. We've got 212 Democrats on a discharge petition to force an up or down vote on a 3-year extension of the Affordable Care Act tax credits, and we need just a few of my Republican colleagues to show some guts.
If you believe that they have the balls to fire him and that your strongly worded letter would do something about that firing, you would also believe that there's a way to whip enough Democrats, like all of them, and pull a few of those people who wanted to fire him on your side to impeach him. Because it's legally correct, because it's the right thing to do, because history needs to know that those people who were in office here were on the right side of it and not being paid by whatever side brought in the most money. You fucking idiot, you piece of shit. I hope you become a footnote in history. And whoever primaries you wins by the same amount Mamdani did in your own district. It's about, 5-10 more points than you did. Guys, I'm doing something very special for Ukraine. I want you to go down there to the comment section. Ukraine is in need of trucks. And I'm trying to raise some money for them to get trucks in the name of the company or the name of the NGO, non-government organization. It's a charity. It is Car for Ukraine. I did a whole speech about it last time. I'll put up another video. And I don't want to be embarrassed, man. They got all these other people, all these other YouTube stations that are already beating me. Wait a minute. No, they're not. Ever since I put that out yesterday, you guys came through. You guys came through. I'm now number 2. I was number 1 for a minute, and then whoever that is, they became number 1. You guys did it. I knew you could. So it's going on to a Christmas. Give a little now, give a little more later. Keep on going. It's going to be on for like 8 weeks, actually. So just give what you can. They're fighting over there. They're resisting over there. Unlike Hakeem Jeffries, they understand the realities of fascism and what it costs to resist it. And it's not AIPAC money. They're giving life, sacrifice, time, not wordsmithing for woo-hoos and attaboys. Huh? How about that? How about that? Help the fight. Help the fight. Donate down there any little bit you have, because at least I'd like to be supporting somebody who's resisting out here. Tomorrow we fight, people. Hey, yeah, you. Before you click away to watch someone unbox a tactical toothbrush, let's talk about something real. Political Drain isn't just another content mill. We're a digital front in a very real war. Not with bullets, but with ideas, with action, and with solidarity. We pair urgent news with critical education. And we build community around actual resistance, not the hashtag kind. The kind that moves. But here's the thing. None of this is free. It isn't. Behind every video is time, labor, research, and some weird guy asking if we're going to pay the hosting bill. And yeah, some of that money goes to things we can't necessarily say out loud. If you know, you know. Let's just say our special ops aren't Call of Duty LARPers. They're people making real moves to protect, uplift, and organize. You're not just funding a channel. You're funding a resistance network in a world where capital still calls the shots. Unfortunately, in a system built on artificial scarcity, even mutual aid has a price tag. And if we want to grow, if we want to win, we need your help. We need your help. So if you've got even a few bucks to spare, toss it our way. It's not for ads. It's not for merch drops, but for people making moves in the shadows so others can do it in the light. It's just us and you. So fund the mission, fund the fight, fund the future, because nobody's coming to save us. We save each other. That's how this works. Follow us on all these things you see here, and our link tree is in the description. Maybe even get some merch.
That was the Political Drain podcast, which can be heard on www.groovechillradio.com/political-drain and can be viewed on the Political Drain YouTube channel anytime. Once again, thank you for listening to Groove Chill as we resist fascism in any form, pursue democracy, peace, and love.